Fleet Maintenance and Repair Organisation, abbreviated to FMRO for easier communication, is part of the wider naval base under the overall control of the Admiral. The Director of Maintenance and Repair has under his control a workforce in excess of 3,000 personnel, a unique blend of uniformed and civilian men and women in their roles as administrators, tradesmen and support groups with centuries of experience to call upon. This experience is brought to bear in the many diverse areas of ship repair and maintenance. An ongoing task is the maintenance of HMS Victory, where traditional crafts have been preserved to keep this magnificent relic of British naval history as near to her original state as possible. The craftsmen who mould and shape the replacement sections of Nelson's flagship must be prepared to call upon different skills and apply them to our modern warships such as HMS Illustrious, with her complex structures, fittings and systems. Also, her smaller sisters, the destroyers and frigates, of equal complexity. All will at some time receive the attention of the FMRO team. The workforce faces a constant challenge of new technology. The interaction between the men who use this equipment and the men who service it ensures the efficiency demanded by a sophisticated naval force. All progress during the refitting or repair of ships must be meticulously monitored, and a schedule of work to be carried out is drawn up so that the ship's company, managers and workforce all know when their services will be required and the time they have been allotted to complete their task. A smooth running operation requires much discussion at all levels. Ships companies will inject their experience and knowledge of their particular vessel when drawing up the control event schedule. This teamwork of uniformed and civilian specialists ensures that the main ingredients of efficiency, quality, cost and speed are there in the correct proportions. Ship's officers will always be available to discuss problems within their area of expertise. The control event schedule, now approved by senior management, is circulated to the various managers of the departments involved. HMS Bristol, berthed in the basin in the naval base, has been scheduled for a routine docking and a conversion to undertake a Dartmouth training role. Instructions will now be given to set the wheels in motion in line with the timetable.
Oh, hello. We've received the Bristol schedule. Could you file them in that a bit? Thank you very much.
The focus of all this attention is lying quietly alongside in the basin, with the ship's company carrying out the various tasks required prior to dry docking. One such task is the removal of certain classes of stores. These are checked and recorded before being moved to a main store or to a special area nearby to be replaced on board on completion of the work. The FMRO team is also engaged in pre-docking preparations. Staff in the drawing office are preparing drawings showing the positions of various blocks and shores that will be used to support the ship in her proper position when the dock has been emptied and the water is no longer there to support her. Using these drawings, the base services manager will supply a team to prepare the dock for Bristol's entry. Blocks are placed accurately on the dock bottom, with measured gaps left to accommodate any projections from the keel area. The blocks must be level and it requires considerable effort to manhandle them for final adjustment. The task ends with a final check to ensure that the ship has a safe and correctly aligned row of blocks on which to settle down when the water is eventually pumped out of the dock. Hidden from view, under the roadways and buildings of the base, are a series of penstocks, culverts and waterways. These concealed areas must be inspected prior to each docking. Watching an inspection of these areas, one could be forgiven for the feeling that the inspector is some combination of surveyor and potholer. As his lamp swings to and fro, he is ever conscious of the responsibility his task carries. Very soon, water will come thundering along these same passages into the open dock. His examination is meticulous, ensuring that the brickwork is sound and free from deterioration, and that there is no debris or obstruction to hamper the flow of water. With the culverts declared safe and obstruction-free, seawater can be released from the basin to flood the dock. The process of flooding the dock takes some considerable time, as the final level will have to be the same as that of the basin on the other side of the cassoon. With the cassoon removed, there is now open access between the dock and the basin. All is now ready to bring HMS Bristol from her berth. Slowly she comes through the narrow entrance to the dock, gently coaxed by the tugs. The dockside team and the ship's company work together to secure the ship in her predetermined position in the dock. Safely tied up and the team satisfied with her position, the tugs withdraw and the cassoon is floated back into position to form a watertight door at the end of the dock once more. The dock must now be pumped out and the signal is given to start the pumps. Depth gauge boards show the progress of the pumping out. and some of the shores to support the ship have already been lowered into position. A check is kept on a floating wedge suspended on a calculated length of line. The wedge, swinging free from the water's surface, indicates that the ship has settled on the dock blocks. As the level drops, the steps and altars around the dock sides are sluiced off to clear debris and algae to ensure safe walkways when the dock eventually dries out. Shoring continues all around the hull to keep the ship absolutely vertical.
Right, turn the makeup.
As the pumping continues, the dock blocks slowly emerge. At this stage, we can appreciate the scale of the docking process. With the propellers in sight, the pumping operation will soon be complete. Having settled the ship down on the dock blocks and all the side shores in position, all that remains now is to site a few extra supports in strategic places. Specially adapted equipment is used to transport and position these shores. With the stern support wedged into position, the ship is now secure. Now that the ship has lost some of her internal services, the base services team arrange for alternatives. One such lifeline is an electrical supply. This will be maintained for the duration of her time in dock so that the ship's company still aboard can carry out their normal routines. With the dock empty and the services connected, an FMRO team sets about inspecting the ship's hull. The integrity of her anti-fouling coatings will be examined and her hull plating checked for damage. Underwater fittings must be inspected to certify that they have been functioning properly, are free from obstructions, marine growth and corrosion. Many sections within the FMRO are now in action, assessing and logging defects reported prior to docking. Information is gathered to enable repairs or replacements to be put in hand, both aboard and in the workshops. There are many occasions when the defects are serious enough to be referred to the FMRO laboratory for intensive investigation.
It's the HMS Bristol we discussed.
Thank you. Oh yes, a bit of thin-edged burst and a bit of crate crackle. Alright, I'll have a look at that for you.
Thanks so much indeed.
Visual examination gives the first clues to the possible cause of failure. This is followed by a detailed study involving sophisticated techniques and equipment. On completion, the findings are reported for action by all the divisions concerned. Back in the workshops, the work is proceeding to plan. Many trades and disciplines are repairing or manufacturing parts for replacement in the ship. It is not possible to glimpse every aspect of work that is progressing simultaneously, but a quick look into one shop finds the workshop preparing replacement pipework for the many systems aboard the ship. In the constructive workshop, large sections of steel plates are being ribbed and welded to form large panels which will replace deck plating found to be defective or used in part of the conversion program. All the separate areas of work are still being monitored in line with the timetable defined in the control event schedule. The system informs individual managers of any delays or problems should they arise. There are many computer operators, programmers and systems analysts dotted throughout the naval base, handling everything from personnel records to stores distribution. The stores team responsible for providing all manner of necessities are making ready the items demanded for loading aboard ship at the end of her docking period. All through the work programme, this same organisation will have been providing the FMRO team with spares, equipment and consumables to enable them to carry out their task. Work aboard ship is reaching the final stages. The additions and alterations required by the conversion are nearly completed. Great attention is paid to detail, and the workforce are conscious that this vessel, with its many miles of pipework and cable, is still a floating home to the ship's company. Even at this late stage, small improvements and renovations are being undertaken. The arrival of the painters usually signifies that the control event schedule is reaching its bottom line, and inspections must begin to ensure that the high standard demanded has been reached in all areas of the task. The ship's company, eager to get their ship back into service, assist as the final safety checks are made to the boat's davits. Substitute weights being used to simulate the actual weight of the boat. Satisfied that the conversion has been completed to specification and that all reported defects have been rectified, the penstocks are opened once more and flood-up begins. This is a time of satisfaction tinged with sadness. The teamwork that has brought this operation to a successful conclusion will be carried on to the next ship lying in the basin ready to take HMS Bristol's place. As she is pulled slowly out by the tugs, the men and women of the FMRO wish her well in all her ventures. All the skills that have ensured the success of HMS Bristol's docking have to be passed on to our workforce of the future. To this end, the Naval Base has an active apprentice training scheme. Full apprenticeships are offered in many trades.
Neutral and earth. And after we've done that, let's go over to the control panel here. Look. Here's the control panel here.
As in any successful business, the welfare of the workforce comes high on the priorities list of the base commander. An excellent restaurant assures the availability of high-quality food to be eaten in airy, pleasant surroundings. Various amenity centres are strategically placed throughout the base. A staff of welfare officers are always available to help staff solve problems, whether they be at their workplace or in their home environment. As we take our last look around Portsmouth Naval Base, we can be proud of our naval heritage. Those that made it, those that maintain it, but most of all, the magnificent ships themselves.